So, are Intel MacBooks still worth it in 2023? The short answer, no, but the long answer, it might be for you. So now, let's check it out. So let's get the construction of the laptop out of the way. The laptop has a metal unibody with barely any flex and is extremely sturdy, but the advantages lie in its form factor. The laptop isn't too big nor is it too small. It has a little bit of heft to it at 1.37 kgs, but the weight isn't a deal breaker. It still can be used as a daily driver pretty easily. Let's move on. So now, let's talk about the display. Apple calls it a Retina display, which is basically marketing terms for as long as you're a normal viewing distance away, you can't see individual pixels. The screen is 2560 by 1600 pixels, which is amazing for content consumption and for work. And longevity wise, for the past 4 years that I've been using it, there haven't been any significant issues and there are no dead pixels nor are there any screen burns. So all in all, I would say that Intel MacBooks can definitely compete with the M-Series MacBooks of today. So now, let's get into keyboard territory. All Intel-based MacBooks have the infamous butterfly keyboards, which come with some key issues. Sometimes the keys don't trigger, sometimes the keys trigger too much, and sometimes the keys just get stuck. In the time that I've used a MacBook, I've never had any issues with the keys not triggering, but I have had issues with the key getting stuck. The Enter key got stuck maybe 4 to 5 times in the past 4 years, and I would say it's not a deal breaker. But if you do move from a Windows laptop to a MacBook, you will definitely feel the difference and you probably will not like the keyboard. And especially if you move from a mechanical keyboard to a butterfly keyboard, it is a definite downgrade. But the keys don't feel mushy, they feel pretty tactile, and I can guarantee you that it's better than a membrane keyboard. So all in all, I would say that the butterfly keyboard was selected because Apple wanted to have a sleek design, and I would say it's a valid trade-off as long as you're not too picky about the keyboard feeling. And for all the keyboard freaks out there, here's how it sounds. Nah, I'm just messing with you. So now, let's talk about trackpads. All MacBooks have extremely large and well-calibrated trackpads. So in the past 4 years that I've been using this laptop, the trackpad has been perfectly calibrated, and the only issue that I've really faced with this trackpad has been that sometimes the bottom right corner of the trackpad gets stuck, but it resolves itself within a few seconds, so I wouldn't call it a deal breaker. If you're moving over from Windows laptops to MacBooks, you will see a significant difference in the quality of the trackpad. You'll see that the use of the trackpad on the MacBook feels more fluid and that it overall feels better. So all in all, I would say the trackpad has been pretty much similar for the Intel MacBooks and the M-Series MacBooks, which means it keeps up with the current generation. So now, let's talk about the touch bar. The touch bar was definitely a controversial addition to the MacBook. And for me personally, it's never been an issue. But after speaking with professionals from software engineering and few professional video editors, a general dislike was noticed. But in my opinion, the touch bar is definitely usable and in few cases even useful, especially in stock Apple apps as well as Apple developed apps like Pages, Numbers, Final Cut Pro and even Logic Pro 10. But all in all, I would say it's okay. I don't love it nor do I hate it. Moving on to the benchmarks. The benchmarks speak a lot about the performance of the Mac compared to the base M2. The laptop has an Intel i5-8257U, which is a custom version of the Intel i5-8250U, which is modified specifically for the use in MacBooks. The numbers show a lot about the age of the MacBook. On Geekbench, the 2019 MacBook Pro tested 1292 on single core and 4507 on multi-core. But an average of multiple tests done on the Intel MacBook and M2 show a large gap. The M2 scores a mighty 2536, while the Intel MacBook scores 1212 on single core performance. The M2 MacBook Pro scores 9691, while the Intel based MacBook Pro scores only 4237. This is more than a considerable gap. Not only this, the GPU scores have an extremely large gap with the M2 far ahead. With that being said, I would also say that as a daily driver, the laptop can handle content consumption perfectly. It can also handle programming softwares, and a few companies still deploy Intel MacBooks because few programs do not run on the M-Series MacBooks. So now, let's talk about the battery life. For content consumption, I can usually average around 5 to 6 hours on the Intel-based MacBook Pro, which is better than most Windows laptops of the same battery size. But compared to the M-Series laptops, which I can average around 11 to 12 hours, that's a 2 times difference, which is a very big difference. So all in all, I would say that the Intel MacBook's biggest issue would be that the battery life is nowhere as good as the M-Series laptops. So now let's talk about the price. For the 13-inch and 16-inch MacBooks, they cost around $400 and $600 respectively, compared to a new M-Series laptop which could take you back around $1,200. It is pretty economical. But the biggest disadvantage of that would be you do not get the 1 year of complimentary Apple Care. But I would still say it's okay because you still get the top class 24/7 service that Apple provides over the phone. So in conclusion, the upsides to buying an Intel-based MacBook Pro would be the form factor, the trackpad, the construction, and definitely the price. But the biggest issues would also be the keyboard, battery life, the touch bar, and most importantly, the computing power. If you do have the cash to buy the M-Series MacBooks, you should definitely go for it because it is a good and long-lasting purchase. But let's just say you're a student who's short on cash and you use your laptop for maybe Word, Excel, PowerPoint, then you might as well just stick to an Intel-based MacBook. It's also good to note that if you're a programmer, you might want to check out what programs are compatible with the M-Series, because if they're not compatible, the Intel MacBook might also be for you, but maybe a more higher spec one. So thank you so much for watching till the end, and if you did like the video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And this is my first video, so hopefully by the time you see this video, there are other videos on the channel, so don't forget to check them out. So thank you again, and that's it.